Hi, I'm Peter. In this video, me and my partner Nikita will be explaining a programming language called Python and some basic coding. We hope you guys will be able to learn something new at the end of the video. First, let's have a look at what we are going to be talking about in this video. So as we could see, there are three main parts for the content that we are going to be covered in this video. Firstly, we are going to talk about the theory of our topic, which will be mainly focused on the definition of programming language and what Python is. Secondly, we are going to learn some basic Python, such as syntax, variables, data types, and etc. And last but not least, we will do some practical exercises together so that you guys can fully understand the tutorial. Now let's first talk about what is a programming language. So a programming language is a system of notation for writing computer programs. Most programming languages are text-based formal languages, but they may also be graphical. They are also a type of computer language. And many of you guys may ask, what is Python? So Python is one of the most famous platforms for programming. It is an interpreted, object-oriented, high-level programming language with dynamic semantics. The main function of Python is to build websites, software, automate tasks, and conduct data analysis. It can be used by both developers and non-developers alike. And now my partner Nikita will be talking about how to install Python.
Okay, now that I have explained the theory of today's lesson, let's head over into the practical part and actually start doing some code. For this, obviously, we need to install Python and another IDE that supports Python, which is PyCharm, which I'll show later. So basically, how do we install Python? We go on a whatever browser you're using. It's either Safari on Mac, you can use Opera, Google, Chrome, or whatever. Basically, you go to python.org, which is the official Python website. You're presented with this page once you go in here. So basically, here we have about section, which is basically all what is Python about. We have the documentation, community forums, stories, news, events, etc. related to the programming language. So, however, we don't really need all of these except for documentation. Could be useful if you're a beginner. However, we are going to go into downloads. And here we have different versions. So basically, Python is supported on Windows, Linux, macOS, as well as other platforms. For this, I'm using a Windows operating system. Therefore, I will be downloading this on Windows. So basically, once you click on the download section, you're presented with this window, and it's the simplest installation. Here, the latest version is Python 3.1.3, which is basically Python 3, and the only thing that you have to do is click download Python. Then it's gonna start the downloading phase. Once you download this installer, wherever it's gonna be, you just click on it and everything will run. However, I'm gonna skip this phase because I already have Python installed. Now, for the second part, how do we need an IDE, which is something to write our text in, basically. So it's basically like a text interpreter. Python can be written even in a notepad or in the command line. However, for this, we're going to be downloading PyCharm. PyCharm is one of the most comfortable and easy to use IDEs out there, like specifically for Python, in my opinion. So basically, as same step as with downloading the main Python interpreter, we're going to go to the JetBrains.com official website, and we're going to be, so for example, if I go to JetBrains official website, this is what we're presented with. Then we go into the developer tools, And here we have to find PyCharm somewhere, which is surprisingly not here. However, we're gonna go. Well, that's a fail. Oh, look, there it is. I skipped it. So we go into Developer Tools, we go into PyCharm, click on here, and we're presented with this website. Simple installation, blah blah. This is the general information about PyCharm. This is how it looks. However, it looks a bit different. And we're just gonna click download. PyCharm, as it is like one of the best interpreters for Python, it has a professional version and a community version for both for Windows, macOS, and Linux. Basically, like what Python supports. However, we're gonna click on the Windows. We're not going to get the professional. There's a free 30-day trial, but we will not need this for this tutorial. So we will be downloading the community edition. The main difference is that professional edition has more plugins and supports more languages here, such as HTML, JavaScript, SQL, and blah blah blah. However, community edition is just for Python. So we're going to click on download. Here, same process as with the Python installer. We're going to download this installer, run it, and PyCharm will be installed on computer. I'm not going to do that once again because I already have it installed. So now, once we have all of this installed, we're gonna open PyCharm. This is how it looks. However, this is not exactly how it will look at the start because my PyCharm has some plugins that enhance the view of it. It just looks more comfortable for me. So, navigating through the IDE. Here, we're gonna have the main tools that we're gonna need. So basically, the only one we will need is the projects file. So here is whatever project is linked here, or whatever directory is open here. You will see the list of documents of your Python folders. I have a bunch of folders here which I use for my own projects and etc. So we're going to create a new file. The way you do this is, well, I have created already a new file. The way you do this is you right click on a specific folder. So for example, then you put your mouse on new, and you scroll through and open a new Python file. So let's say name it basic variables, for example. And that's it, we've created a new file, and now we can edit text in here. So I'm not going to use this because I already have created the file here. Okay, once we have everything installed, we have the IDE connected interpreter. We're gonna start with our main lesson. Okay, so starting with the lesson, let's talk about the Python syntax. As I have previously mentioned, Python syntax can be executed in a command line or even your notepad, and you will still be able to run it with Python. However, we're going to use the PyCharm IDE for this. So basically, Python indentation, let's start with this. Indentation refers to the spaces at the beginning of a code line, where in other programming languages the indentation in code is for readability only. The indentation in Python is very important. So basically Python uses indentations to indicate a block of code. So for example, let's start off by writing if let's say 5 is greater than 2. We will print a message. We're going to print 5 is greater than 2. And just like that, this space right here, so this little space right here in line 4, is what is called indentation, or what I usually call tabulation, because it's just a simple tab. That's refers. Basically, let's run this code, and in fact it works. 5 is greater than 2, which makes sense. However, if you skip this indentation, so let me remove it, Python will give you an error. It will give you a, let's see, indentation error, expected unintended block after if statement on line 3, because we stated an if and there's nothing executing in the code, so basically like this, right? And the print, because we skipped the indentation, we get a syntax error. So And in PyCharm, it's actually a very easy to fix. That's why I like this idea. If you press the combination Ctrl-Alt-L, everything fixes. So basically, you don't have to worry about, like, if it's a very long code, let's say 200 lines, you don't have to worry about just fixing every single line of it manually. So the number of spaces is up to you because you're a programmer. So the most common is 4, but it has to be at least 1. So let's say this is 1 space, 2 spaces. Like, it doesn't matter, the code will still work, but at least use 1 space because it generally just looks better. Okay. So in the same code block, basically, you have to use the same number of spaces. Otherwise, Python will give you an error. So, for example, actually, let's say, talking about spaces, let's do the same statement. 5 is greater than 2. We're going to print this message. So 5 is greater than 2, right? And basically we can use another tabulation, and this is the number of spaces for the indentation, and everything will still work, so you will not get an error. You still get 5 is greater than 2. However, you have to use the same number of spaces in the same code block. So let me delete this, right? Let's write, for example, the same string. 5 is greater than 2. So this is the same number of spaces in the code block. However, if we use another tabulation, see, we're already getting errors. So basically there's an unexpected block. If we run this program, we're going to get an error, because another indentation error, because in the same code block you have to use the same number of spaces. Since this is only 1 tabulation, we have to use only 1 tabulation here in order for it to be executed. Here you can see it works perfectly fine. I'm going to be talking about variables, which are a very important part when starting programming. So, variables. In simple terms, variables are basically containers for storing data values. So, how do we create variables in Python? Unlike other programming languages, Python has no command for declaring a variable. So, a variable is created the moment you first assign a value to it. Let's say, for example, we can assign x as 5. And let's assign y as a string. We could say hello. Okay, we have assigned 2 variables. Then we print x, and then we just print y. Now we have assigned 2 variables for x. X is 5, y is hello. Let's run the program, and we're going to get an output of 5 and hello. Variables in Python do not need to be declared with any particular type, and can even change type after they have been set. So for example, let's remove this and reassign x, basically. So x was initially 5, and now x is hello. So basically we reassigned the value. Well, we reassigned the variable x. So let's run the program. It was 5 before, and we get the x that was just reassigned as hello. And if I put a print before the reassignment of variables, I'm going to get a 5 right here and a hello after the reassignment of variables. Okay, if you want to know a specific, so let's say that variables have specific data types, and if you want to specify the data type of a variable, this can be done with a method called casting. So basically, how does it work? Let me delete this. Let's assign x as a string. let's assign y as an integer, and for z, let's assign the number 3 as a float. So let me explain. In Python there are different data types. So we have strings, we have integers, we have floats, we have many more, because Python is such a wide language. So for this, for x we have assigned 3 as a string, so it should look like this. Because this is a string, it's in quotations. Let me comment this. Y is an integer, so it's just a number, so it's just going to be printed out like this. And because Z is a float value, it is going to look like this, 3.1. Let's check it. We run the program. Oh, well, that was my mistake. Let's print these values first of all. See, programmers make mistakes. Usual mistakes, not that big of a deal. And Z. Print these values. Run the program. Let's see, 3 is a string. The second 3, Y, is an integer. And Z is a float. You can't really see the difference, but we can look at the code. This is assigned as a string value, and this is assigned as an integer value. This is assigned as an it's assigned as a float value. Okay, now that we have covered a bit of types, for some variables, whenever you're programming, you might want to get the type of the variable. So let's say you can get the data type of a variable with the type function. It looks like this. So basically this is a type function, we create a variable, we insert it in the brackets, and we get the data type. Let's do it. So let's assign x as 5 before, and let's assign y as hello. Assign it as a string. And then we want, so let's say for example we want to know the data type of x. Type print, in brackets we do the type function, and we put x. And for y, let's say we want to do the same, type, and y. And when we run the program, we're going to get a special command string that will say class integer, as this is an integer type, x is an integer, and for y it is going to be a class string type, so as we can see here. Another thing about variables is so for example, I've been using single brackets, single quotes, to write strings in them, but it doesn't really matter because Python is not really sensitive in that manner. So let's say x is in single quotes, hello, and it is going to be the same as this. If we do double quotes, so first x is the same as the second x. That's just a small part of this. As well, variable names are case sensitive. So what does that mean? A, let's assign it as 4, and then A uppercase is going to be hello again, the typical one. So A, the small one, lowercase a, will not the uppercase a will not override the lowercase a. So let's say for example we want to print a. Let's fix this. We want to print a, and then we want to print the uppercase a. Let's run the program, and as you can see, it has not been overwritten. Like I previously explained, we had both x and x. They were the same variables and same variable names, and they were overwritten. However, here in the lowercase a, it has not been overwritten by the uppercase a because they are different variables. Well, Python sees them as different variables. So, for variable names, now that we have been talking about them, let's talk about some rules for variable names. So a variable can have a short name like x or y, x equals 5, and y equals hello. So these are some short names. Or a more descriptive name, let's say age is 14, or let's say a car name or car underscore name, say Nissan or whatever. So they can be either very simple, if you want to code fast, or descriptive, which will make a bit more sense when you're reading code. Here are some rules for the Python variables. So a variable name must start with a letter or the underscore character. A variable name cannot start with a number. A variable name can only contain alphanumeric characters and underscores, so letters from A to Z, or 0 to 9 and underscores. Variable names are case sensitive, as I have previously shown, and a variable name cannot be any of the Python keywords, such as print. For example, we can delete this. So it cannot be any of the Python keywords, something, just like that. That will be simply incorrect. So here are some of the, let's call, legal variable names. This is one. You can write it as well like this. You can also write this. You can also write this. Uppercase, which you would usually not do, but whatever, or you can use this. So here are the examples of legal variable names. And here are some, so let me code this. Use our previous knowledge of comments. I'm gonna name this legal variable names, and let's say illegal variable names. And here are the examples of illegal variable names. So 2 myvar equals 5. See, PyCharm, that's what I like about it. PyCharm is already giving us a mistake. Redeclared myvar defined above uses. So it's used, but basically we can use numbers in front of it. This is also an illegal name. See, it is already giving us a mistake. Cannot assign this to operate. And this is also an illegal name. Illegal variable name. It even splits when I try to fix the code. So here are examples of legal variable names, and here are examples of illegal variable names. Now that we have covered the variable names, so you know how to name your variables, bit of an important thing. In Python, you can also assign multiple values to variables. So it allows you to assign values to multiple variables in one line. Let's say x equals y. Actually, no, x, comma y, comma z equals orange. Let's say. Then we have banana. And let's say we have cherry or something, or apple. Apple is going to be better probably. And then if we print these in one line, x, y, and z. Since x is assigned to orange, y is assigned to banana, and z is assigned to apple, they have to be in chronological order. It's going to print out x as orange, y as banana, apple as z. Orange, apple, banana, exactly how we wanted. And you could also assign one value to multiple variables. So for example, instead, let's remove the commas, right? And let's say orange. So basically we have assigned all of these variables to one value, which is orange. Let's run the program, let's see. There you go. Orange, orange, and orange. As well, you can unpack a collection, let's say. So if you have a collection of values in a list or tuple or a set, let's say for example, but these are like, lists and tuples are a bit further down the line, Python allows you to extract the values into variables. So this is called unpacking. I'll give you an example. Let's say we have fruits, we have a list. We have apple, orange, banana. Okay, there you go, we have a list. And let's say we want X, Y, and Z to be fruits. X, Y, and Z is going to be equal to fruits. So basically, exactly the same as I have previously shown you with assigning variables in one line, it works exactly the same. So X is going to be apple, Y is going to be orange, and Z is going to be banana, as we have assigned this in fruits and they're going to be assigned in chronological order. Let's print these out so you can see for yourself X, Y, and Z. Run the program. And there you go, apple, orange, and banana. We have successfully unpacked. And that's it for variables.
And now, congratulations, you have learned a lot about variables and syntaxes and how to use them in Python. And here's a link for you to do some extra practical exercises and test yourself just to ensure that you have fully understood our tutorial. And thank you very much for watching this tutorial. And if you have any questions, please feel free to comment us. We will try our best to help you. See you next one.